And are we live? Wow. Sorry, folks. Let me just get check 1 2. Check 1 2, people. We are live on the space. And get on in here. Video and sound are good, according to my assistant. So we're good to go. Thank you, Jacob. Why don't I see it? Oh, I got to click on it. There it is. Turn. Okay. One moment, people. I'm sorry. I should be more professional, but I'm not yet. It's okay. We're working on it. My name is David Sutcliffe. Welcome to the space. This is a call-in show where I help people solve their problems. Why should I help people solve their problems? Where do I get the right giving advice like this? Well, I'm a core energetics practitioner. Core energetics is a somatic meaning of the body psychotherapy. So I practice somatic psychotherapy, and I've been doing so for a long time. And it's a very unique way of practicing psychotherapy because it's. I mean, we're going to talk today, but you really working with the body, almost like the body is the unconscious mind. So you're trying to help people feel their feelings, get in touch with their feelings, learn to be with their feelings, because so many of us have unconscious feelings, repressed feelings, held back feelings, feelings that we're scared to feel. And those unconscious feelings they're running our lives. And so that's what I'm trying to do here is help people come into contact with the unconscious emotions, feelings, pain, fear, anger, perhaps, that are getting in the way of them being able to fully express themselves in their lives. So I'm going to bring Steven in here, and he's standing by. And I'm going to bring him in. There you are.
Hey.
Can you hear me, Steven?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear you, so let me make an adjustment. See if I can. Try again.
How about now?
I got you. Okay. Good to see you, man. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
I'm really good.
Yeah, I didn't see you here in the room, so I was looking on YouTube and I saw you were streaming, so I was a little confused if we were good to go, but here we are.
We are good to go. Yeah, we're still getting everything settled in. Just getting a note from my assistant saying that he can hear us both fine. Okay, are you practicing or you're studying as a psychotherapist?
I'm practicing, but I'm still in the early part of my career, so I'm not licensed yet. I'm racking up hours.
Nice. How's it going?
I really like it. You know, it's what I want to be doing, and I'm glad to have found the thing that I want to be doing, because for a while there I didn't know, and I ended up collecting a fair amount of degrees that I currently don't really use. So it took me a little bit of time, but I'm enjoying it. It's not boring. It's quite engaging, which can be a lot. But
yeah. What was it about it that drew you to it? What was the pull for you?
I was sort of pulled towards it in a way. I mean, people sort of told me that in so many ways. People told me this is what I should be doing, and the way that happened is I've been teaching undergraduate courses in psychology for 6 years now, which is a lot longer than I've been a therapist for. And I was doing that as part of a neuroscience master's program that I was in. And I was teaching about a lot of clinical stuff, and I would have students coming up to me asking me about, like, hey, can I meet with you to talk about my trauma and my depression and my anxiety? And And I was like, well, sure, I'll meet with you, but I'm not really a therapist. You should probably see a therapist. And I just found myself wishing that I could do that sort of work instead of what I was doing in neuroscience, which I found wasn't really in my element.
But I guess it's nice you have that background in neuroscience.
Yeah, yeah. It's not useless.
Yeah.
It's good to have.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I read what your or listened to your voice memo about what you want to talk about, essentially embodiment. But do you want to say a little bit about what brought you here today?
Yeah. I mean, I found you. I mean, I don't know which video it was, but the one that really struck me was with Blair White and the sort of core energetic stuff you were doing with her, hitting the thing and
The block, I call it.
screaming and the
Yeah.
block and I remember just I felt something when you guys were doing that, and that was noteworthy to me. So I've struggled with, I guess you would say, embodiment or emotional expression, both of those things really, I would say. Um and I consider it to be sort of my greatest weakness as not only as a clinician but also just in my life. It's been a sort of hindrance. Um, and I've been told by a lot of people in a lot of different circumstances that I come off as very nonchalant. And at first, I didn't really know what people meant by that. It, Sometimes that's the word, and sometimes it's communicated in different ways, but it's always kind of like, are you here? Like, are you kind of like, are you here with me kind of thing? I
It's
had a
interesting.
relationship that was characterized by a lot of that sort of thing, and I didn't really understand it at the time. I'm like, yeah, I feel things, but I think I come across as kind of muted, and I do find it hard to express emotion, and sometimes I find it hard to feel emotion, and I'm not really content with that because I think it's holding me back as a person, but it's doubly holding me back as a clinician, and I'm not bad. You know, I'm at the beginning of my career, but I think I'm pretty good so far. I'm on a good trajectory, but I'm very aware of the fact that a lot of my strengths are in the sort of intellectual realm. Like I'm good at the analysis, I'm good at the making connections, but I do struggle to feel, you know, when I'm with people in session, and I I'm very convinced that the ability to feel is actually the greatest tool of a clinician. So I'm not happy with my weakness in that area. So
Have you done anything to try to address it? I mean, are you some kind of somatic work or breath work or anything like that to try to make contact with your feelings?
well, you know, I just actually did a core energetics workshop on Saturday because I
Oh,
was inspired by the first space you did with I forget the guy's name, but he said that he had done it and he was inspired by it, and I'm like, all right, well, let's you know, that was the second time I've heard about it after I saw you demonstrate it, and I looked it up, you know, what's going on near me. I live in New York City, so there was a workshop like 2 weeks from then, and it was pretty affordable, and it was 5 hours. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll give that a try, and I did. So I purposely scheduled this for after that so I could kind of report back. So
yeah. What
I did that.
happened? I'm so curious.
You know, it's interesting. I was very sleep deprived when I went into it. I had sometimes I get insomnia, and I had gotten insomnia 2 days in a row prior to that. So I don't know if that helped my experience or hindered my experience, but it was interesting. It was a group workshop. There were about 10 of us, and I found it to be there was part of it which touched me. There were things that happened which touched me, and there were other aspects of it which I just found kind of hokey. And I'm not sure if that was because of the practitioner. She was great, but she was a little bit on the feminine side, and it was a lot of like kind of like wooey stuff. And I have a lot of tolerance for that kind of thing, actually, but I wonder if it would have been more resonant with me if I had a sort of male practitioner leading it. Um, but I did get to hit the block, which was fun, and is very vulnerable to do that in front of a group of people. But I was able to do it, and I can't exactly say it unlocked anything in me, or if it was transformative in any way, but it was a good introductory experience to core energetics.
Did anything when you hit the block? Did you just hit it and make a sound, or did anything specific happen?
Well, I did make sounds. I was encouraged to make sounds, and I that was difficult for me. It's difficult for me to make sounds, but I made some. I don't know how
It's
I don't know.
scary. It's scary to let
Yeah,
it out.
it's scary to let it out, and it's just not doesn't feel natural to let it out. A part of it feels kind of contrived. But hitting it itself, I found fun. It was enjoyable. It was cathartic in a way to be that violence, right? Even if it's towards this plush cube or whatever, but it's a bat, right? And I'm hitting it with a lot of force, and I don't usually do that sort of thing. So
Okay, that's that's great. So I can relate to you. I mean, I know in your voice memo you said that you've had a hard time even crying in therapy. Like you haven't been able to come to tears. And
yeah,
yeah, yeah, it was same for me. I was in talk therapy for a number of years and got a lot of benefit from it. But the first time I went to a core energetics practitioner in Toronto, a guy named Tom Strutt, somehow he got me to cry. I mean, just burst out crying. And he was working with my body, like he had me stand up and do little breathing exercises, which of course takes you a little bit out of your ordinary state, a little bit out of control. And then ultimately with him, I hit the block, and I was really shocked at what came out of me, the intensity of all the emotions that I was holding back.
mm,
A little bit different for me because I was an actor. I'm a pretty expressive guy in general, but I can feel where your energy is a little muted,
mm,
and I love what you're saying, and I agree with it that in order to be really effective for your clients, like you really need to be able to feel yourself and feel them. And if you can't, because that's where there's a lot of information there.
yeah,
That's kind of how we experience life, is really through the body, through the sensations, through the
hmm
energy, interacting with other people, and then it kind of comes up into the head, and then our mind makes a story about it, usually connected to things that happened to us in our past. So well, I guess the question is, do you have any intuition about why you are this way? I mean, I'm sure naturally I can see that you're a relaxed guy, but maybe something else happened, or there was an environment you grew up in that you weren't allowed to be expressive, or it was scary and you had to learn to control yourself, control your energy. Do you have any intuition about that?
I do. I'm struck by the fact that you said I'm a relaxed guy, though. I don't know about that one. I am.
You're not
It's
relaxed?
it's weird. It's like I kind of am, but I'm also not. I don't know
Uh-huh.
how to make. And I've been told that before too. Like, yo, you seem very like it's the kind of the nonchalant, like
Well,
you
what
relax.
happens to you inside when I say you're a relaxed guy? It doesn't land. It's not your experience of
No, it
yourself.
doesn't. No,
What is your
no, no.
experience of yourself?
Very stiff.
Stiff.
Yeah. Um, I do want to answer your question, but I wanted to note that because I guess like if I'm checking in with myself now, do I feel nervous? I mean, a little bit, not too much, but a little bit. Um, anyway, uh, to answer your question, I don't exactly know why, but I know that it has something to do with my childhood, and I know in the kind of realm of what it has to do with, but I don't know how to connect the dots exactly. But my childhood was pretty chaotic. I grew up with an alcoholic father, and he could be very loud and very angry. Not really physically violent, but yelled a lot, and um, lots of fights in my home between my mom and my dad. Uh, a lot of memories of my mom sort of hiding me away in a room with her because my dad was outside yelling, and so it was very chaotic. It was scary. I don't
Sounds
know.
scary.
Yeah, um, it does sound scary. I don't see part of the problem is I don't connect with it. I don't really feel much when I talk about it.
Well, I would imagine. I mean, if you can go back to that child and you're trying to make sense of it, you're trying to keep yourself safe. You're trying to adapt to that environment. I can imagine that you do all kinds of things in reaction to that. One of them may be to numb yourself, to cut off from the feeling, because the fear may have been overwhelming. You couldn't make sense of it. There's no safe space. It sounds like where are you going?
Mm,
Right? Like you're stuck in that environment. And sounds like your dad was, even though he wasn't violent, it sounds like he was still scary. And if you're a
yeah.
young boy, and the father's job is to protect you, is to create safety. That's the primary role of the father. And maybe he did that for you at different times, but if he's also the source of your fear, it creates a lot of confusion, I would imagine, in your relationship to him and your relationship to the masculine and your relationship potentially to your own aggression.
100%. Yeah.
So I can imagine that if you had aggression, I don't know, but I'm just speculating here, and you can tell me what resonates with you and what doesn't. But I can imagine if you saw that aggression from your father and you were afraid of it, and you probably saw him out of control as well, and that doesn't feel good to see your father not in control of himself, like he's not present, he's alcoholic. So I would imagine that you probably have some judgment about aggression, at least unconsciously, and maybe about your own aggression, because it's dangerous, right? It's scary, and I don't want to inflict that on anybody else. I don't want to be that way.
Hmm.
But you probably have a lot of rage.
I suspect that I do. Um,
Like
I
fuck him.
can't.
You know what I mean? Like the child, like you don't have the opportunity to express that, but there's probably some part of you. I mean, you can see this scene in the movie where it's just like, fuck you, dad. Like, get your fucking shit together. I'm fucking little. You're terrifying, mom. This is fucking bullshit. Go fuck yourself. Like this kind of rage. It's really just a protective mechanism, but like it's the organismic response, I would say, to terror, somebody who's terrorizing you, and you know, to try to keep yourself safe. You know?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's all true. So this is where I kind of hit a wall where it's like I understand what
Yeah.
happened, but I can't connect with it. Like I don't feel any of that rage,
Yeah.
but
No, for
I
sure.
know that it has to be there, but I
Yeah.
don't feel any of it.
Yeah. So, and I can understand why you wouldn't feel it, right? You probably made a decision, an unconscious decision when you were a child not to feel it because it wasn't safe to feel it. I mean, if we think of everything in terms of survival strategy and what do we have to do to create safety for ourselves given the circumstances, well, it makes perfect sense that you would cut off from your feelings, that you would numb yourself, that you would go up into your head. That's where it's safe. Like you can live in your own world. Right, but if you
Yeah.
actually come into your body in that environment, you're gonna have to feel some things. You're gonna have to feel the terror. You might have to feel the rage. You might have to feel the pain, the disappointment, and that's really not. Those feelings aren't tenable for a child. Like we can't really feel them on her own, and especially if your mother's also involved in these fightings, she's probably not there to give you the comfort that you need and the recognition that you need. And and I'm sure you know this because you're a practicing therapist, but my experience is that like the trauma really comes, the experience is traumatic, but then it's like what happens afterward, it's like it's not recognized, it's not seen, like the child isn't attuned to the experience that they just had, isn't affirmed. So they're left to make sense of it on their own. And what sense can they possibly make of it other than on some level this must be about me? Like my dad he's not with me, he doesn't love me, or he's not giving me what I need. So it has to do with me. There's no other way a child can make sense of it because your parents are essentially gods to you when you're young. And I mean, you can feel the disconnection there. Like some part of your brain can be like, I realize my dad is fucked up. Like you can have that awareness, but nevertheless, you're dependent on him. And so it creates all this confusion and uncertainty. And it just, I can feel the place where it would make sense to me that you would just lock it all down. You would just numb, like, I'm not going to feel this. I'm going to come up into my mind. I'm going to be rational. I'm going to be the calm one. Right. And that's a great strategy, right? If your dad's freaking out and your mom are fighting, like, I'm going to stay calm. I'm going to be reasonable. I'm not going to get involved in this. And then it almost becomes the default way of being. And then, of course, you go out in life and that's the way you operate. And it has a lot of value and utility because you can understand concepts. You can rationalize things. You know how to communicate. You're probably really good at listening to people and being with them. And then, conveying back to them what you're thinking or what you're seeing. So, like, there's a lot of utility in it. But I agree with what you're saying. Like, when we're cut off from our feelings, when we've gone numb, we're not here all the way.
Yeah, well, that's been my experience a lot of the time when I'm with people, is that I feel that part of me is not there, and I didn't always recognize that. I used to be told that, and like I mentioned a bit earlier, I was in a relationship where I was told that a lot, and I didn't understand what she was talking about. But now I've kind of come to recognize it. Right? There's a part of me that's not like, even when I'm talking to you right now, there's a part of me that's kind of absent. Well, not even absent. It's more like it's doing something else.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can feel it. So let me ask you a question. Do you feel like the defense? Like,
what do you mean?
you're like, if you come into contact with your defense, right? I know that's an abstract concept, but just like feel energetically, right? See if you can feel the place where it's like you keep people away. Mm-hmm. Right? Just as a vibe. It's an energy. It's subtle. Right? Because it's not safe to get close, I guess. Like, in some way, when you retract your energy, when you're not all the way here, it's like it does send an energetic signal that people can feel. And I guess what I'm asking you is that part of you, if it could speak, what would it say? Just your first hit.
Well, when you said the part of me that's keeping, how did you phrase it? The part of me that's keeping other people away. Mm-hmm. What came to my mind was I'm keeping myself away. It's not that I'm keeping other people away. I'm hiding somewhere.
You're hiding.
And it's not so much that I'm afraid of other people. It's more so that I'm uncomfortable with myself. Yeah.
So you're hiding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just that's a significant thing to say. So if you just land there and be here with me in this place, that even in this moment, there's some part of you that's hiding. That's true for most of us. But just to own that, like, I'm hiding. And then ask yourself the question, Stephen, what are you hiding? Don't think too much.
Presence comes to mind. I'm hiding my presence.
And if your presence was here, why are you hiding it from me? Why are you hiding it from us? What do you imagine is going to
It's
happen?
it's
There must
it's
be a
un it,
belief, right?
yeah. It's unpresentable.
Oh, so you have an image that if you're all the way here, whatever that is, your presence is unpresentable?
Hmm.
Unpresentable in what way? How?
I don't I don't have words for it. I feel awkward. I feel awkward is what it is. It's the stiff thing. I feel
Uh
stiff.
huh.
I feel awkward, and I don't feel free.
But
I feel
if you show
stuck.
yourself, if you stopped hiding, just the image in your head, if you stopped hiding, right? You showed yourself, even the awkward part of you, the unpresentable part of you. What do you imagine would happen? Like, what's your image?
People wouldn't want to be around me.
Okay, so you'd be rejected.
I'd be rejected. That's right.
Yeah. So that's an important thing to understand, that you have an image in your mind that if you're all the way here, you're going to be rejected.
Yeah.
That's a strong belief, right? And so I can imagine the force inside you, because none of us want to be rejected.
Hmm.
And especially where it's coming from a young place, and which this is. Rejection is a kind of an alienation, and a child can't survive on their own. So they have to prioritize the connection. They have to reject themselves in order to stay in connection with the caregivers. They really have no choice, and that kind of becomes a default pattern,
Mm.
right? So there's a pattern of self rejection, right, in order to avoid what you imagine would be the rejection and the alienation and the separation of showing who you are and then being rejected.
Mm.
Right? Now, that's not true. That's, you know what I mean? That's an image you have, right? It's a belief that you have that let's just say it may or may not be true.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
more
probably
comfortable with that.
intuitively you know that it's not actually true, but it's a
I
belief
don't
that you
know.
hold.
I don't know that I know that it's not true.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, just see how it feels when I say, I'm not going to show you all of who I am. I'm not going to show the world all of who I am, Stephen. I'm just not going to do it, because I know that if I do, I'm going to be rejected. How's that feel? What do you want? What's your reaction to that?
Is this you mean is this you saying this to
Yeah,
me?
me saying this. Just if I said that, like, how do you? You're my therapist.
It's hard to shift into therapist mode when when
Well,
I'm
how does that feel? How does it feel?
um it feels distant.
Yeah,
Distant. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well it's like when you said that it's like a wall went up.
Right, between you and I.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that wall is always sort of there for me.
So just be with the wall. Here's how I think about it, Stephen. Like, and I don't know how you practice, but I just try to work with whatever's there. So if the resistance is there, the defense is there, the wall is there. I want to be with the wall. I want that wall and whatever it's doing, because it's not just a wall. It's doing things. It's operating in the world in a particular kind of way, and I want to get to know it. Like, what is my wall, or what does my defense believe? All right, what is it doing, and why?
No, it feels safe. It feels safe. There's somewhere I could sort of run away to if things get too scary. I can kind of run behind the wall and just camp out there and not have to connect,
Mm-hmm.
or not have to risk.
Mm-hmm. And what would be the risk for you?
Well, I think the risk would be being rejected.
What would the action you'd have to take? What would you have to do in your life? Like what would be different if you could do something different? What might it be? Like there's a risk for you here, right? In your
It's
life.
it's kind of hard to say because I don't know that behaviorally there'd be anything different. It's more just how I show up in the world.
Well, yeah, I understand, but that is
Yeah.
behavior, how you show up in the world.
Yeah. Well, I would have to be fully engaged with the person or the situation that
Mm-hmm.
I'm with, and when I think about, like, well, what would that look like? I'm actually not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really know if I've ever done it. I'm sure there have been there have been situations that I'm in where I'm more engaged or less engaged, so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of have a comparison, but I don't exactly know what it would be like to be fully engaged.
Right.
And I don't
Right.
I don't even know how to like, it's not something that I feel like uh, I can imagine doing it, but I'm too scared to do it. It's like I'm not even sure how to do it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, for
Does that make
sure. Well,
sense?
you don't know. Yeah, it's been sort of, you've been frozen or locked down, or that wall's been up for so long. How would you know? You couldn't know. So it's going to be a new skill, a new behavior. So it requires that you do something new, which you just did last weekend by going to this workshop and hitting the block and having an experience. And I completely understand. It can feel a little artificial, a little fake at first, and contrived, and that's part of it. But you were drawn to that. You're drawn to me and my somatic work. So something's going on inside you that's searching this out, that wants this. And I guess I would say to really trust that. And I have a feeling that more and more of it is going to come into your field. And I guess what I'd say, practically speaking, is yeah, you're going to have to do things that get you into your body.
Mm.
You're going to have to lose control. There's no other way to do it, right? You're going to have to put yourself in situations where you lose control. Obviously, in safe situations where you feel the practitioner is responsible and knows what they're doing, and you can trust them, so you can feel safe to let down. But at some point, you're going to have to lose control and see what's inside you. There's no other way, and we have to abandon our mind, right? Because the mind wants to stay in control, and the mind is going to judge. Oh, this is hokey. This is stupid. This isn't going to work. This feels fake. Of course, of course. And it's not that the mind isn't correct on some level, but the judgment is also a defense. And so, I know this, from the chronogenetics perspective, it's what we call the leaving pattern. I mean, literally the leaving pattern, or schizoid, right? This is the Reichian terminology. And it's like, if we had a scary childhood, especially if this started when you were very young, we have no choice but to leave our bodies. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing we can do. There's no other,
That's
right?
right.
And so, of
Yeah.
course, naturally, your body is going to be stiff. It makes sense. And so, I guess
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, the predicament you're in, the pattern that you have, it couldn't be any other way given the circumstances of your childhood. It couldn't be any other way. And so you adapted in a perfect way to help you survive that circumstance. And the reason I say that is because it's very important as we go through this process that we have a lot of compassion for ourselves. Like, we don't judge ourselves for saying, oh, what's my problem? I'm stiff. I can't feel. I can't cry in therapy. Like, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. It's like, you learned that it wasn't safe to feel. And so why would you ever fucking feel again? And probably you made an unconscious, like, there is an unconscious decision, like, I won't. Like, I won't let myself feel all of this, right? And
Can I tell you what's happening when you
yeah,
there's some, right before you said compassion, I was thinking I hate it. I
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
hate I fucking hate being this way.
yeah, yeah.
I
I understand. I understand. Well, that's not a bad thing. Like, I have a feel. I would encourage you, if I was working with you, if we were in a room right now and working with the block, I would encourage you to bring that hatred out. And I have a feeling if it came out, there'd be other things that hatred would be directed toward. Maybe not just against yourself and how you are. That's my intuition. Because it also makes sense if those feelings can't come out, there's no other place for them to go except to turn them against yourself. Right? That's the trap, right? Like we get caught in our defense and then we judge the defense, which then puts us back into the defense. If that makes sense. So it's kind of like this spiral, this loop that we can never get out of. And that's why I'm really, I emphasize this idea of like being compassionate for yourself, being compassionate for the child, like really seeing that little boy doing what he had to do to survive and then giving him what he needed, right? And understanding, that must have been fucking scary. Like he needs recognition, he needs understanding. And so that's really the first step, is to just like allow yourself to exist here. And then, there's keep going to, it's all this somatic work, you're drawn to it. It's like, there's the bioenergetic exercises, the trauma release exercises. I mean, for anybody that I work with that has this pattern, I really emphasize them working with their body, like getting out of their head and doing physical things consistently over time, which starts to bring energy back into the body. And Alexander Lowen's got books, and David Berceli, the trauma release stuff. All of that stuff is good. It's just a series of exercises and protocols that get you kind of shaking and bring energy back. And there's no mental aspect of it, and that kind of thing is very powerful. And then keep going to come to one of my workshops, or keep going to stuff. Like you're going to find yourself in a deep way, and it's a little scary. It's scary, and it seems like there's some force inside you that is moving toward it. And I guess what I would say is to just trust that.
I think I am. I think I am trusting it. There is something inside of me that wants to do it. Like when I went to this, when I was the idea of hitting the block, I was very scared of it, but I also wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can see, I mean, what I see when I look at you, I see a lot of aggression. I see there's a lot of aggression locked in there that wants to come out, and maybe some resentment. Like you weren't allowed to come out. And so it's like, I have to hold myself back, like fuck the world, fuck all this. Something like that. Like, I mean, there's some shadow material there, that resentment, that anger, which is, again, totally natural. Like, don't judge that. Like, just be aware of it. Just notice it. It's like, of course you're fucking angry. I would be fucking angry if I had to hold back my energy my whole childhood, and like, because in some sense you're taking care of your fucking parents. Like, they're supposed to be there for you, and they're fucking completely out of control. And so you don't I don't want to say you get nothing, but you definitely don't get what you need. And so from that place, and that's your whole world, it's just like, fuck this. What? I didn't sign up for this. This is bullshit. And then you project that out onto the world, right? On some level, because that's the pattern. And so again, it's totally normal, man. It couldn't be any other way. That's the main thing. It couldn't be any other way. There's nothing wrong with you, bro. There's nothing wrong with you. You just adapted to your environment, and now you're coming to terms with it. And breaking out of our pattern is scary because it's all we know. And so entering into the unknown feels unsafe. Our mind is going to judge it. It's going to try to tell us that, well, it doesn't make sense or do it this way. But there is I guess I keep on emphasizing this, that there is some higher self part of you that's guiding you, that's pushing you in this direction, that seems to be stronger than your fear. And to just notice, when that fear comes up and when those, and play with your images. Like, ask yourself when you have these thoughts, like, is this true? Is this actually true? If I bring myself out here, will I be rejected? I believe it. It feels very true to me, but I don't actually know that's the truth. I don't actually know what the fuck is going to happen, which is a better way to think about it. You're more in reality than I know what's going to happen. The only reason you know what's going to happen, or you think you know what's going to happen, is because that's what happened in the past. Mm-hmm. And so in those moments where we're like, I don't actually know what's going to happen, those moments, it's like, oh, maybe I'll take a risk. And what does that mean? I don't know. Just a little risk. You say something you wouldn't normally say. You show some part of yourself that you don't normally show, and you see what happens. And then things slowly start to change. It's piece by piece. It'll take a while. It's like learning a skill, man, or like learning a language. I'm down here in Mexico, and I don't speak Spanish. I'm 55 years old. How long is it going to take me to learn Spanish? Probably going to take 3 fucking years of pretty diligent, learning over 3 years. That's a skill. It's the same thing. You literally have to learn a new language of communicating with yourself and communicating with the world. So, listen, man, thank you for coming on and sharing all that. I hope that was helpful. I appreciate the vulnerability and the honesty, and certainly stay in touch. And if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. But it sounds to me like you're on the path, and just keep moving forward.
I appreciate that, and it was helpful, and I'm glad that you're making more content, actually, because I think you're
thanks, man.
You're very inspirational sort of presence, and you don't have that much on YouTube, so I'm happy that you're getting more out there.
That means a lot to me. I'm taking that in, and I'll keep showing up for it.
All right. Well, I'll keep showing up if you do.
Sounds good. Okay, Steven.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Okay. Thank you, Steven. Andrea's coming on. Okay. I'm solo. I know you want to be... Hi, Andrea. You want to be just voice only. Let me see how to get you in here without... if you come on for a second, I apologize. I don't know how to do this yet. Okay. There we go. You're with us. Can you hear me? No.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. How you doing?
Oh.
You got me? You can hear me?
Huh?
Yeah.
I could kind of hear you.
It's low? Well, maybe we have a problem.
I could hear you now.
You
It
can
was
hear
like
me now?
yeah, it was just like staticky.
Oh, okay. How you doing?
Yeah. Good. How about yourself?
Good. Where are you calling from?
California.
Okay. And what do you do in California, Andrea?
I work as a substitute teacher, and I'm kind of starting my business, but I'm just like at this little rough start, I guess. But that's with everyone, I would assume.
When they're starting a business, it's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. So I read, you filled out our form, and you said that you are you struggle with your voice, bring your voice out, imposter syndrome. Is that right?
Yes.
And how does that manifest in your life, and what what's the ramifications of it? Like what's the problem that it causes you from your point of view?
I feel like I'm insecure with what I'm saying. Like, am I saying the wrong thing? Um,
Like
Mostly
right
that,
now,
I
do you
would
feel that way?
say. Right now, I'm feeling nervous. Yeah.
Yeah, well, let me just say this. You can't say the wrong thing. There's no wrong thing to say. You can say anything you want. You can't make a mistake. How's that sound when I say that?
Mixed emotions.
Do you believe me?
Yes, and it's also like that fear.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's
Like,
scary. It's
but
scary.
what if?
What if? Yeah, what if?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Stephen had, similar, well, not the same, but yeah, it's listen, the theme, I think for most of us is we hold back. We don't bring ourselves out all the way. We're scared to because we got hurt. And we made some kind of unconscious decision that we weren't going to do that again. It's not safe. It's not safe to bring out my voice. It's not safe to be here all the way. It's not safe to show my aggression or my sexuality or my desire or my love or my want. That it feels dangerous because of things that we learned. And I guess I'm curious, do you know where this came from? This part of you that like is timid and shy and holds back your voice and is uncertain of yourself?
No, I don't know.
You don't know? You've always been this way?
From what I could remember.
Yeah. What was your childhood like?
I don't remember much.
Mm. You don't remember much, but when I asked you the question, like tears come.
Yeah.
Something painful must have happened. Something scary. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Even if you don't remember, something
Yeah.
must have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how does that make you feel in this moment?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just take a breath and just see that you're okay. And you can see me, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just stay looking at me. Just keep your eyes on me, like stay in contact with me. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't want you to go away or go into your head. Like see what happens if you just, and I can see you. The audience can't see you, but I can see you and you can see me. And if you just stay in contact with me and maybe what'll happen is that hopefully you'll feel that it's actually safe for you to just be here with me. Yeah, I can see that whatever it was that happened to you, whatever it was, it must have scared you. It must have terrified you. And in the place where you got scared, you had to make yourself small to stay safe. Does that sound right? Does that make sense somehow?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just like I was saying with Stephen, that just becomes a pattern, just becomes our default way of being in the world. You know? So you kept yourself small. You have to be small, right? To be safe. Can't bring your voice out. Can't express yourself. Can't go after what you want. Is that right?
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people. I think a lot of people struggle with that, not being able to go after what they want, not bringing their voice out. Scared you're going to be judged, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like a lonely place. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel alone in your life?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. What's the yes? Or what's the no? Tell me about how you feel safe.
I, I know I have support.
Oh, you do?
But
Who's your support
but
from?
my family.
Your family supports you. But you were going to say something else?
Um, but um, I feel like I get too in my head. The judgment definitely gets in the way.
You judge yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, can I tell you something, Andrea?
Yeah.
Well, I have a feeling that you probably your self judgment, and I'm saying this to you, and I'm saying this to anybody who's listening, that generally our self judgment is it's a defense, meaning it's a story we tell ourselves to rationalize keeping ourselves small, because we're afraid that if we come out, that something bad will happen. We're going to get rejected, or we're going to get hurt again. And so our mind starts telling us a story like that we're no good, or nobody cares, or we don't belong, or we're stupid, or your ideas don't matter, whatever it is, some version of that, right? Like we tell ourselves that story to keep ourselves contracted, because contracted is safe. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Andrea? Can you hear me? You may have frozen. Well, let me just say a little bit more about that, right? Like, contraction is safe, right? Holding back is safe, right? Not bringing our voice out, that creates safety. All of our issues, all the problems that we have, quote unquote problems, all our fears, all our frustrations, all the ways that we self-sabotage, all of our addictions, all the ways that we avoid, all the ways we refuse to be here all the way, they're all just strategies that we use, that we learned to keep ourselves safe. That's it. I think Andrea's gone, so I'll just finish up here with this thought, because this is an important thought, and I want everybody to understand it. As I was getting to with Stephen, it's if we want to heal, the first thing we have to do is stop judging ourselves, stop judging the way that we are. There was no other way that we could be. We all adapted to the circumstances of our childhood, and we all did it in different ways, depending on our circumstances, depending on what was going on, and depending on who we are. So, Andrea's back here. Hold on. So, okay, you're back. So I was
Sorry,
just,
my phone overheated.
that's okay. So I was just saying, I just want to finish up that thought that I was saying to you, but I was also saying to the audience, because this is really like one of the most important things to understand is in order to begin our healing process, we have to stop judging ourselves. That doesn't mean we don't take responsibility for our bad behavior, okay? Because we all act out in different ways, or we don't take responsibility for the fact that we hold back. It's nobody else's fault that we hold back, right? In our adult lives. But all of us got programmed, right? All of us have conditioning. All of us learn different strategies. Strategies is really the key word in order to keep ourselves safe as children. And those strategies, because all of that happens at such a young age, those strategies become embedded in our psyche, right? And they feel like they're who we are. And so then we go out in the world and we act from this place of the adaptation, from the strategy. But not only that, we project out onto the world all our beliefs about the world and about ourselves and how we relate to the world based on the things that happened to us in our childhood. How could it be any other way? That's all we know. That's all we know. So we grow up in this little environment with our family. It's almost like a little cult. Every family is almost like a little cult, right? You can't get out of the cult. Like you're a little boy or you're a little girl. You can't leave. Where are you going? So you have to conform to what's going on. And you have to figure out a way to survive in there. And whatever you do in there, however you learn to survive, that's what you're going to do out in the world. And so that's why so many of us end up recreating the patterns of our childhood in our adult lives. So we keep dating the same, wrong person over and over again. Or we keep having the same frustration with our work, with money, whatever it may be, because we're locked in this pattern. And so a real part of therapy is to understand what that pattern is, right? Understand what we're doing, understand why. And then from that place, we can change it, because of course we can't change something that we're not aware of. And that's really like the first part of therapy. It's just like awareness of the pattern. Okay, this is what I'm doing. This is why. And there's something about that, at least for me, when I understand what I'm doing and why, I can see, because I was scared, or because I was hurt, because the environment was unsafe, because, my needs weren't getting met, because I wasn't seen or recognized, and I didn't have any other way to make sense of it. So I adapted in this way to try to, to make sense of things. And then we have to have compassion for ourselves, for the child. And so I guess, Andrea, can you have compassion for yourself in this moment? Like to let go of the self-judgment, to let go that there's something wrong with you, to let go that you're not enough, to let go that you have a problem, and just to see that it couldn't be any other way given the circumstances that you had.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Good. And if you really rest in that, if you really give yourself permission to like forgive yourself, right, to have compassion for that little girl, tell me who you are and what your gifts are. And not a story. Like, what is the essence? Like, what is your essence? Beyond the defense, beyond the fear, beyond the pain. Like, who are you at your core, at your essence?
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, if can you feel into your you're doing things in the world, right? You're striving for something, right? Like you have something to give, you have something to say. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a place that doesn't, that has doubt about that. You said you have imposter syndrome. So there's a place in you that wants to give, right? Wants to express yourself, that like kind of knows your own goodness. And then there's this other part of you that has doubt and fear. And it sounds like maybe the doubt and fear is winning right now. Is that fair to say? I think your phone overheated again. So I'm gonna let you go, Andrea. Are you there? Okay. So I'm just gonna finish that thought for anybody who's still listening. Let me just give you a framework of what I'm thinking when I'm working with somebody and how I think about healing. I'm just doing this off the cuff. I did not prepare for this, but I've said a lot of it up to this point. But as I said, like we all adapt as children. We're conditioned, and usually we're alone with that, and so we have to make sense of it on our own. There's nobody there to explain it to us. And so we become identified with the adaptation, with the programming, right? With the defense. We become identified with it. It feels like who we are. It's not who we are. It's not who we are, but it feels like who we are. And usually people start therapy when they start to feel this sense of authenticity. Like I'm not expressing myself fully. I'm not all the way who I want to be. And that's certainly when I started. And it's like a memory. Like you can remember some other part of you, but you can't quite make contact with it. And also what you begin to notice are patterns start to develop. And usually maybe in your mid-20s, late 20s, you start to see certain patterns, recreating patterns, whether it's in relationship or in work, and certain frustrations, and you feel like a victim, and you don't know why. You can't make sense of it, right? There's no solution to it. And you might blame your boss or blame men or blame women. We all do that. We blame other people. We blame the world. We blame Trump, whoever it is. We blame people, right? But we know really it's us. We all know that it's us. There's something going on inside us. And getting to the root of that is not an easy thing to do because we have to confront our identity. And the identity is attached to the ego, and the ego does not want to change. Its entire priority is safety. And so all of your defense mechanisms, whatever they may be, whether it's just somebody who leaves, like Stephen, or you tend to be overly aggressive, like me, that's my defense pattern. If I feel threatened, I attack, right? Other people merge, meaning they're always going to make friends. They won't have their own boundaries. They always make sure they're connected. Everything is safe. They're like in harmony with everybody, and they're hyper vigilant about it. That might be a defense you have. You might be somebody who just like holds back all the time, like just kind of bears down, endures everything, right? Or you might be a perfectionist. You might be somebody who goes out into the world and achieves and does everything perfectly, because that's the way that you're going to feel safe. We all have different defense patterns, again, depending on what happened to us as children and who we actually are. And so first we will have to come into contact with that. We have to have some kind of recognition about what happened, how we adapted, the belief systems that came along with that, the false conclusions about ourselves and the world. And we have to confront them. We have to confront those distortions, right? And then see how they're playing out in our lives, see how we're creating our lives from these belief systems and false conclusions. That's not an easy thing to do. It's scary to do, because it's like if that's all you know and you start to see the falseness of it, then you start to ask yourself the question, well, then who am I? Like, who am I? And that anybody who goes down this path, this healing journey, they have to confront that question at some point. Like, I don't know who I am anymore. But the thing is, you do know, because it's inside you. And we have to learn to make contact with it. And that's what I was trying to get to with Andrea. Like, can she make contact with the essence of who she is? Like the deepest essence of who we are, right? That each of us has unique qualities and gifts that we came here to express. And until they're expressed, we're not going to feel satisfied or fulfilled. And so we have to make contact with that beyond the defense, beyond the self-judgments, right? And we have to know who we are there. So that we call it the higher self. You really want to understand who am I at my core, right? Beyond the places I got hurt, beyond the places I get afraid, beyond the places of judgment, beyond the places of feeling like I don't belong or something's wrong with me. There's a place beyond that inside of us, right? And we need to make contact with that place. Some people call it God, I call it the higher self, but that divine part of us, the light inside that can never be extinguished. There's a light that can never be extinguished. Right? So you have to make contact with that because you have to know the truth of who you are. And the reason you have to make contact with that and know the truth of who you are, because it takes a lot of courage then to go into the unknown and face your shadow. And if you don't know who you are at your core, it's very hard to face your shadow because the shadow will consume you. Because the shadow wants to convince you that you are it. I'm not enough. I'm no good. I can't do it. I'm weak. I don't belong. All of these ideas and thoughts and images, they're all distortions, right? And that's what the shadow, what we call in core energetics the lower self, that's the story it wants to keep you engaged in so that you'll stay contracted and small, because contracted and small is safe. Or at least we believe that it's safe. It was safe for the child, but you're not a child anymore, right? So most of us are still operating from that childhood programming, right? So then we have to confront the shadow, all the negativity. And then we really have to confront the places that we got hurt. We have to confront our pain. We have to make contact with it, right? We have to cry the tears that the child couldn't cry. And then we have to grieve the loss of what we longed for and didn't get. We wanted to be loved. We wanted to be seen. We wanted to be recognized. We wanted to be held by our parents. We wanted to feel safe. We wanted to feel free. And in the place where we didn't get that, there's a loss. And we have to grieve the loss of what that child longed for but didn't get. And it's that grieving, the willingness to accept what happened to us, no matter how devastating, no matter how horrific. It's the willingness to accept what happened to us that will bring us back into reality, back into presence, back into our true self. And that's what we're all longing for. And it's a process, right? And it's just like in meditation, you're meditating, you're breathing, and then focused on the breath, and your mind wanders, and you don't realize your mind is wandering, and then you remember that that you're supposed to be meditating, you notice your mind is wandering, and you bring it back to the breath. It's the same thing. You know, you're gonna remember who you are, and then you're gonna forget who you are. And when you forget who you are, that's when the programming is taking over. And usually that happens when we're under some kind of stress, or anytime you're trying to expand in your life, or you're getting into a new relationship, right, where fear would come up. That's when your programming is going to come up strongest. And that's where you're going to forget, and that's where you're going to start to worry, and that's where you're going to start to judge. That's where you're going to start to abandon yourself. Okay? And then you have to come back. You have to remember who you are. And you need people to help you. You can't do it alone. That's what I realized. You can't do it alone. And it doesn't mean you have to go to therapy necessarily. Therapy is not for everybody, but you definitely need to be in community, and you definitely want to be able to have these kind of conversations with people you feel safe with. That's the most important thing. But change is a very hard thing to do alone. Like we need to be other people to reflect ourselves back to us. And we need to see that we're not alone, that everybody out there is struggling in some way with something. I'm always struggling with things. My mind is very active. My history, my programming is strong. And generally I get, I get the best of it, but every once in a while it gets the best of me. But over time, less and less so. And that's the practice. And that's the confidence, right, in doing the work. It's not that I'm perfect. It's not that I have everything figured out. It's not that I never get upset or I never get frustrated or I never act out. I do. But I have the confidence that I'm going to come back to myself eventually. Like I have a map inside myself, inside my psyche, and I can always find my way home. And there's a confidence in that. I may get lost, but I know it will be found. And that's really what this work is giving me. And so when I'm working with people, that's what I'm trying to help them with. That feeling. It's like, I'll be okay. I'm going to get through this. And to know what's actually happening for them when they do feel lost, when their emotions take over, which is they're not in reality. They're in their history. And there's something painful arising. And if we can learn to just be with that pain and not tell ourselves a story, I hope that makes sense. To just be with the feeling in the body and not make a story out of it, not project it out. If we can just be with ourselves there, present, right, we'll come back home. That's not an easy thing to do, but it just takes practice. None of us learned these skills. They should be teaching this at school, and I think they will be soon. Anyway, that's just a little off-the-cuff riff on how I think about healing. I hope that was helpful for you. Hope that made sense to you. Come back next week. I'll have a couple more guests. Appreciate you all tuning in. Appreciate everybody who's watching. This is a kind of experiment that I'm running, and I couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much. We'll see you next time. God bless.